This is THI Illustrated publisher Andrew Jones along with staff writer Jacob Turner coming to you from the UNC football practice facility. And for the first time in fall camp, we got an opportunity to talk with defensive coordinator Jay Bateman. And Jacob, there was a lot of really interesting stuff Coach Bateman had to say, but I think the storyline right now is depth. He says he has about 12 to 15 guys he's comfortable with right now getting on the field, but they're going to need a lot more than that to play South Carolina and withstand the grind of a 12-game season. Depth is a topic. There are a lot of other things that he hit on as well, and you can go to TarHeelIllustrated.com and see our extensive report of what Coach Bateman had to say. But I think the focus right now, and we'll hit on a few other things in a few minutes, but right now, depth. Depth is the storyline about this defense.
Yeah, I mean, depth is huge, especially this time of year. I mean, we're standing on a turf field. Carolina's going to be playing on a turf field. It's hot out here. Yeah. And that's one thing that, especially during this time of year, the elements are going to play a big factor. You got to have fresh guys that can come in. And it's not only about having depth, it's about having quality depth. You got to have guys that you can rely on to come in and step in. Jay Bateman spoke a little bit about, I remember towards the end of his interview, he talked about the secondary and some of the guys that he feels, Storm Duck being one of them, a freshman that he feels that really probably isn't ready to start yet, but they can come in and play some significant minutes. But he also talked about Trey Morrison stepping in there, Patrice Renee stepping in there. That was a big topic of discussion, especially with the depth in the secondary. But yeah, I mean, that was the biggest takeaway from today, I think. He talked a lot about the depth, trying to find guys that he can rely on. And if you can do that, especially going into a season, I mean, Carolina's still a couple weeks out, so there's still plenty of time for him to figure out who he can trust and who he can't. But right now, I think he's, from what we heard from him today, I think he's pretty pleased with what the defense has shown so far.
The absolutes up front, Aaron Crawford, Jason Strobridge, Tamon Fox we're going to have to figure out what to call this hybrid outside linebacker defensive end position at some point. But obviously Tamon Fox. Then you've got in the secondary the two Mileses, Will Folk and Dorn, Patrice Renee, and Trey Morrison, who might be the best defensive player on the team at some point this year, maybe even right now. They got him working at nickel, got him working at corner. I know he's gotten some work at safety, some of the guys have said during fall camp. And he wants him out there because he doesn't want him just at nickel, he said, because certain situations he doesn't want to pull the nickel off the field. He wants to keep maybe his best defensive player out there. So Morrison's going to be moving around a lot. I think Gimmel is probably a guy he trusts. Dominique Ross is a guy that he trusts. So that's 10 guys right there. I think the other cornerback spot, he mentioned Greg Ross coming along. Greg Ross has struggled at times in the past year at Carolina, but it's a good sign hearing Coach Bateman say that he's coming along as an older guy. He's got a lot of experience. Dominique Ross has talked about the new lease on life with the new coaching staff. I would think that Greg Ross has had a similar type of experience. So where are the other guys? At linebacker, there were huge questions coming into the season. He said Jonathan Smith is kind of working his way back. He missed the spring. Chaz Surratt's still learning how to play the position. I think the linebacker group in particular is going to be a lot better like in October than it is right now, because so many of those guys just need to get reps in this defense. Gimmel needs them on the field because he played 10 snaps last year. All of Surratt's reps obviously were quarterback until this spring. So a lot of this is going to be something that's going to accrue as the season goes along. I think that they'll get to 24 to 26 guys that they trust by November. They just may not be at that point when they play South Carolina.
Yeah, I think you're right, AJ. When anytime a new staff comes in, it's going to take a little bit longer, because especially when you have a pretty complicated defense that Jay Bateman's running. It's going to take a little bit longer to install and make sure guys really understand what their roles are on the defense. But, like you said, there's a lot of guys. I think there's a lot of guys on this roster. I think Carolina returns either 7 or 8 starters on defense. I can't remember the exact number from last year. So it's not like this is there's still a lot of young guys on the defense for sure, but it's not like a lot of these guys haven't played in the ACC before, haven't played in big games before. Obviously, over the past couple years, it didn't work out like they would want it to, but there is a lot of experience on this team. But it is about finding guys that can come off the bench, they can come on and play significant minutes. And like I said, it's about contributing. That's the main thing. It's one thing to come on and take some time and let somebody rest, a starter rest, for instance, but if you're coming in and you're not helping the team, then it really doesn't matter. You end up hurting the team in the long run.
Well, if any program understands that injuries happen, it's this one, especially over the last 2 years. So injuries are going to happen, so you need those guys back there. I was encouraged with what he said about Jaleel Taylor.
Yeah.
Because defensive line, behind Strobridge and Crawford, that was a huge question mark coming into camp. And he was very positive about Taylor. Taylor was very confident. We talked to him the other day. Looks like he's a guy that they could certainly rely on. He said a lot of good things about Zach Gill, a guy who was very highly touted coming in here for Wake Forest High School. Kind of struggled under the previous staff, but Bateman said today he got a ton of reps in the spring, and they're paying off now. He's a big guy. He's a very talented guy. He's one of those players that when the light goes on, he's going to be a much different player than what people didn't really see much because he didn't play much before.
Exactly.
So If they can get those two playing at a very high level, then they got 4 guys at that spot right there. He mentioned Vahasek, the junior college transfer. He mentioned Tamari Fox, Tamon's little brother. He mentioned Christian Varner. A lot of guys, a lot of talent there. And for some of the younger ones, it's just a matter of being in college, getting the reps, learning the system, getting out on the field and getting adjusted to the game speed and the physicality at the line of scrimmage, because obviously it's so different than it is in high school. And usually guys in the line take a little longer to adjust than the skill guys, because it's a greater difference for them when they get to this level than it is for the skill guys from what they experienced in high school.
Yeah, that's exactly it, AJ. And one thing he talked about today was the fact that he felt like from the spring, even halfway through the summer, that Brian Hess, the new strength and conditioning coach, has done a great job not only getting his defensive unit in better shape, but the team as a whole. And I think that's going to bode well for Carolina, because a lot of Carolina's problems last year were on the injury front. Over the last 2 seasons, we're on the injury front. I would be shocked, absolutely shocked, if you saw any type of injuries, knock on wood if I had something to knock on, like that this year. But you got to have guys, and you've got young guys in Zach Gill, Jaleel Taylor. You got guys that can step in there. I watched Zach Gill. He went to my high school. He was a few years younger than me, but I got to watch him in high school a little bit, and he always had that potential to be a really good player. I mean, we've seen his body size. He's probably put on, close to 10, 20 pounds, I would think, since last year. He's gotten bigger too, and I think he's going to be a guy that surprises some people this year.
Especially
what we've heard. I mean, a lot of the defensive players that we've talked to, especially on the D-line, have really pointed him out as being somebody that stepped up. They pointed Jaleel Taylor out as well, like Bateman did today. So I think there's guys that are emerging, at least from what we're hearing right now. But I mean, until game starts, it's going to be hard to know how they really contribute when their number's called and they have to actually go into play. So
I'm glad you mentioned Brian Hess, because he was at Army last year with Bateman, and Jeremiah Gimmel said that before Hess came on board, he had 180 pounds of muscle in his body, and he's at like 195 or a little bit more than that right now. And that's a huge difference for a guy, especially when Mac Brown said back in the spring, Jeremiah needs to get stronger. Well, he's gotten stronger. And Brian Hess has played a part in that. So the bodies and the players that people saw a year ago and developed an opinion of a year ago, they're different bodies now. They're different players now, and they're in a different scheme now. And I got to tell you, we've said this since really going back to the spring. The mindset and the vibe around this place is so different now. And I think that with a higher standard and accountability in the program that we're seeing that maybe we didn't see as much of before, is going to elevate everyone's level of play. Greg Ross should be better because of these things. Dominic Ross should be more consistent because of these things. And if everybody stays healthy and they have Crawford for 12 games, and Strobridge for 12 games, and Dorn and Wofolk and Renee and Morrison for 12 games, I think the defense has a chance to be pretty solid. Certainly one that makes more plays. No Power 5 program has picked off fewer passes the last 3 years than North Carolina. We might see that change. We're going to see them force the issue a lot more than what we've seen in years past, and because of that, you'll see guys stand out and make plays and kind of show off what their talents are more than what we've seen before. I think they were too system oriented before. Now Bateman's going to take advantage of what these guys do best. This guy does this well, so we're going to ask him to do that. We're not going to ask him to do something he doesn't do as well. And that's a departure from what we've seen around here in the past, and I think because of that, you'll see more success.
And to me, that's smart coaching. I mean, putting your best players on the field. We've heard it from Phil Longo as well. The goal of this coaching staff is to put the best players on the field and put them in position to succeed. And Jay Bateman's the same exact way. And you were talking about Brian Hess again, and I don't think you can ever undermine the importance of having a good strength and conditioning coach that really, really knows what he's doing. Because when you think about it, he's the one who spends the most time with these players out of everybody. I mean, they're with the strength and conditioning coach almost the whole year when it comes to off-season workouts and everything. So having somebody in there that really is focusing on developing these players. One thing Hess has talked about too is he's not just trying to make these guys stronger. He's trying to make them stronger and better at what they need to improve on. It's not just about getting overall strength. He's really trying to work on, if a guy needs to work on explosiveness, he's trying to work on that. If a guy needs to get stronger up here, he's trying to work on that. So I think that's really helping them as well, and it's only going to help this defense going forward. I mean, everybody knows coming from Army, Bateman had top 10 defense last year. It's a complicated defense, like we've mentioned earlier. It's something that's going to take a little bit longer for, I'm assuming, some guys to really grasp and understand. But from what we've heard from some of the scrimmages and in practice from pretty much everybody, is the defense has been playing very well, especially on the defensive line front. And when you look at that D-line, Strobridge, Crawford, Timon Fox, guys like that down there, I mean, it really shouldn't be a surprise. But going forward, I think there's still probably some question marks at the linebacker position. I think cornerback depth is a concern as well. But I think overall, if you look at the guys that are starting right now, I think Carolina's got some really good starters on paper that can come in not only play some significant minutes, but really do some nice things when they're out there too.
Absolutely. Go to TarHeelIllustrated.com to check out our stuff. Also, we got an amazing special this month coming to you for $625 a month. $75 yearly subscription. You get $75 in Adidas gear. It's a Rivals Network thing, but of course, if you want to see all of our premium stuff, everything on the message boards, that we got a lot of content there that doesn't go on the front page, and it's a community. It's kind of a respectful community, not too much name calling.
It's fun, yeah.
And plus, the whole staff is there. We got 9 of us. We're on there interacting. People tell us that's one of the things they like most about what we do, is the fact that we are a community and we answer every question, whether they're positive or whether they're kind of an arrow being shot at us, which sometimes does happen. It's okay. You get that in this business, and I'm okay with that. TarHeelIllustrated.com, $75. You get $75 worth of Adidas gear, and then you get to read all of Jacob's amazing insight on and off the board. We're going to talk a lot more about the defense. We're 2 weeks away from a little more than 2 weeks away from the opener. I can't wait to see what this team becomes, and there's still a lot of growth that's going to take place between now and August 31st when they take on South Carolina in Charlotte. For Jacob Turner, this is Andrew Jones. Thanks for being with us. Come back. We're going to do a lot more of these as we get into the season.